chats now. Alright, good evening guys, good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Pakvat. My guest tonight is the legendary Mandla Busakwe. Guys, we just had some technical blunders due to load shedding. But we are online. We're online. We're just gonna wait a couple of seconds for you guys to come online, and then we'll just go through Mandla's rugby career. It's a never-ending one. So believe me, guys, we're gonna sit here. We're gonna sit here for some time. But grateful to be here tonight, guys. Traveled all the way from Boyson Park. I'm finding myself here in the United States of South End, right here, close to the beach in Port Elizabeth. Okay, guys, let me just give you guys a chance to get online. Let me just give you guys a chance to get online. I say mensen, right mensen voor die Afrikaanse viewers. Get your ears fixed, guys, so that you can listen to what I'm saying. If you don't understand what I'm trying to say here, guys, ek weet ons allemaal praat Afrikaans. Ons is meestal Afrikaanse mense. But let's just try to stay glued to the screen, man. And believe me, guys, it's a bit delayed. Okay, yeah, guys, we had some technical glitches, guys, but we've managed to sort those things out. We know, guys, Eskom is doing his own thing, Cyril is doing his own thing, and this morning EP is also doing his own thing. You know what, guys, but tonight we're not here to discuss Cyril, Eskom and EP. We're here to speak to Mandla. Right, guys, I'm just gonna dig quickly into Mandla's rugby career, guys. Guys, for me, I always say this. I say this every single week, guys. I had the privilege to play with and against some of the greatest rugby players that the Eastern Province has produced, guys. And I'm fortunate enough tonight to sit here next to Mandla Busakwe. We've met a couple of times on the field, and we've played together a couple of times, even though it was for the Legends. But we still enjoy playing for the Legends, eh, Mandla?
Yeah, very much. Good evening to the viewers, and yeah, thanks for this opportunity. So yeah, we've played. Was it last year? We played for the Harlequins Legends.
Yeah.
And yeah, what another great honor. I mean, that club has a list of huge names in that list of legends, and I just can't believe that I could be also in that mix. So yeah, I'm totally gobsmacked.
Awesome. Okay, right, so tonight, guys, we're gonna speak about the career of Mandla Busakwe. Guys, for those of you that doesn't know, Mandla is actually a junior Springbok player, but he's gonna talk to you more about that. Mandla, just tell the audience here, man, when did you start playing rugby?
Rugby for me started, I'll say, probably generally later compared to most people. I mean, looking at the other guests that you've had, they started when I was still very young in junior school. I started when I was 14.
Yeah.
I started at 6. Well, so that is a grade 8 or whatever. And I had never touched a rugby ball before. That was when I was 14, grade 6.
Okay, Mandla, so you said you basically started playing rugby at 6 and you've never touched a rugby ball previously. I mean, you went to school from the 80s into the 90s. That's when your school career basically started.
Yes.
Yes, I can attest to what you're saying, because at the time when I reached high school, I remember the first game we played against Nzondolelo. In Boyson Park. I was going to school in Boyson Park, at Boyson Park High. Our very first game against Nzondolelo, those guys didn't know anything about rugby. They knew nothing about rugby. I think our school beat them, in that year we beat them with more than 100 points. There was a time in the game that our forwards just sat down. It was just the backline running with the ball. You understand? So So rugby wasn't that popular at the time, you know, for the township schools and so on. And that is basically where everything basically started after 1995. Actually, after the World Cup, if I can mention it like that. Tell us, where did you go to school at primary school, man?
I went to Diego. Primary school.
Wow. I know. So now I can understand. If you went to the Yeovil primary school, and you never touch rugby, I can't see that happening.
At that time, there wasn't any rugby at Diego.
No, man. I mean, I went to school. I went to primary school in the northern area, Soutpan Primary School, and we used to play against the Yeovil. The Yeovil was not one of your stronger teams that time. Republic. Yeah, in Stanford Road, you see the school here in Stanford Road, close to Van Vogel. That was basically your main primary rugby school in that area.
Females, and I suppose sports like rugby were never really something that's encouraged. And for me, it was mostly playing whatever, being active as any other kid on a township kid on the streets. The only time I actually got to play formal sport was when I went to high school.
Okay, so you went to high school at one of the oldest high schools in the Eastern Cape. Tell us a bit more about the school that you went to.
So I went to Muir College for boys in Newton Hague. They just celebrated their 200th year in existence last year. So that school used to be downtown in Newton with a junior school primarily. Then they started having a high school in '88. They moved to a new building up top in Newton. So, but they've had roots there for the longest time. In the 18s, I can't remember what year they actually they must have been the what was last year? 1822.
Yes. 1822. Yeah, it must be 1822 that the school started. So the school is about 200 years old now. So yeah, just take us a little bit further into where did the drive for rugby start in high school? How did it come that you started playing?
The funny thing is, like I said, I never played formal sport or rugby when I was in junior school. And in the interview with the headmaster, and I was like, I know this is a school that promotes rugby, and I said,
yeah,
I like rugby, I play wing. So I had a little bit of a fib during the interview, and here was the stocky boy, one of those chubby boys.
Yeah.
Obviously, just by looking at me, you knew this guy can never be playing wing.
Yeah.
Long story short, rugby season came, and then I had to reassure it did not really play. So
yeah.
I remember the first practice we had. Never knew what was going on. I think it was probably a chaka game, or it was basically just running through touches, and I thought we were going for full-on tackles.
Oh.
So I went and just lumped this one guy, and the coach came from a dizzy height. And what are you doing? That day we used to cancel. What are you doing? So I come a long way from then. Like I said, I never understood what it's all about. Played under 14 A's from the first match that we started. I had a couple of guys that were quite helpful as well in my court of players that taught me how to actually play, not just the coaches. So I do also give them a bit of credit that they showed me how the game of rugby goes. Then from then was under 15s. The following year also under 15s. So I didn't know what was going on, but I sort of caught on, I suppose, quite quickly. And then the following year, played under 17 EPBs, and this was second team and first team for my high school. That was the third year playing rugby. Then I was.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So it was a fairly good transition for you, coming from, I don't know anything about rugby. Okay, now I know a little bit. I've made a step up. I'm in the A team. Following year, I'm in the A team again. And now I'm in the under 17s. So I know a little bit more about the game. I understand the game more. Understand the rules of the game a little bit more. And now I see myself progressing into the game. Was that the case?
Pretty much. Like I said, for me, and especially because of those schools, you had to play a sport. So for me, it was I had to play a sport. I'm lucky. I'm a sport that I seem to be doing well in. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I was mostly going through the motions at an earlier stage.
Yes.
Until I really started seeing, okay, this is something I'm good at. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then it became a different ball game that I really put myself into.
Wow. So tell us, you basically went to the national Springbok under 19 at the time. Under 19 at the time, at the 19 academy team. How was the experience now? You coming from a background of not knowing anything about rugby, and you find yourself amongst these extraordinary gentlemen.
You know, I think with most things, I tend to be the first of something.
Yeah.
Our class was one of the first of the black kids to be included in the amalgamation.
Yes.
I've always got to the idea of to be the first of something,
Yeah.
So I had to take it in with as it presented to myself and make the most of it. So it was, I think, quite a huge ordeal, but I didn't know how big a deal it was compared to as another illustration of that is in terms of coaching and training.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't really. It was at that time it was very semi-professional. In the senior leagues in school, it was very amateur. So you didn't see yourself as in making a career of this
out of rugby.
Yeah.
No. What I can always say about that specific time in rugby, you know, we come out of a political side of things, you know, where we never had this opportunity, you know, to play on that stage. You know, as a boy coming from the township, you know, you're not used to this stuff, but now the opportunity has arisen or presented itself, and now you think to yourself, how can it be? Was it you think it was politically driven, or you think it was because you were a natural talent?
I'll say the latter. I mean, at that time I was still young to even really have a good grasp of politics.
Okay.
But for me, it was I'm in the situation. Let me make the most of it, whatever it may be. Let's see how things turn out. And I mean, I must say the receptions were always good.
Okay.
So that made it also a bit easier. But obviously, there is that when you're the first, things are there were always a bit of unsureness or unsetness, you know. But yeah, I just had to make the most of it.
Tell me quickly, the thing that I see, I don't see that so much in rugby nowadays, you know. There's like an initiation process that you have to go through, you know, when you do you're the first time you're on this particular scene, you know. Did you go through anything like that in your rugby career?
Well, it's the general stuff that everybody gets initiated for. If you make a certain team and your first time you're going there, that was general. But in those terms, I'll say when I had my first interview when I made the SS Schools Academy team, and being, I think at that time, one of the first few players of color to make it in that sphere. So I'll say that's probably the one I'll say. It was sort of an initiation kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a formal initiation where you had to do certain things and whatnot and be like sort of knighted or whatever. None of that. You know, but it was theoretically speaking. Yeah.
Okay. From now you ended your school career at the same school, and from there on you always have something that you wanted to do, a career choice. You always wanted to be in the position that you find yourself today. That is something to always. You know what? If I can just tell the audience about my experience quickly regarding what Mandla said. You know, He's saying he's always had the drive to do the thing. We're gonna come to that. What he's doing today. You know, at the time when I was growing up, you know, there wasn't really mentors around myself. You know, people that guide you, a teacher that says to you, "Look, man, this is the decision that you can make, or this is the decision that you shouldn't make." You know, and I found myself in a place. You know, we were interviewed for this SA Rugby Academy thing. I can remember it happened at the old Boetie Rasmus Stadium, and the then president was Mr. Pet de Silva. So I was like a stupid boy, man. I don't know anything. I'm fresh out of school. I passed matric, and here I found myself on this stage. You know, I was involved in the EP Rugby satellite academies at the time. You know, and we were basically offered the opportunity to be part of the SA Rugby Academy. So I came to the interview unprepared. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to expect. You know, and
just like me now.
Yeah, just like, just like what I'm doing with you. And I just want to take the people through this thing quickly, so that the younger viewers can understand what we're trying to say. You know, so I'm standing here. I'm next in line in the interview. So I'm nervous as hell. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to expect. I come there. They put me on the scale. I weighed about 64 kilograms. Speak to a younger rugby player. The question that I was, he is not everything. You know, we can have rugby, but we need to have a career as well, because rugby is a very short career.
True.
It's not destined for all of us.
So for EP5, and then in those Blackies Platter, there's also for your Fernandez. A couple of you guys against Scotland, my initiation, as in for manhood.
Yes.
And you know, like part of saying that nobody preps you for if you want to go professionally, what things you need to do and whatnot. Because when you're there, there's nothing you can train, you can't do nothing. So I came back, fitness was down, I was not conditioned. And soon after that, we had in March or so trials to go to make the SAA team to play the World Cup. Needless to say, it was a train smash. I was playing against John Smith.
Yeah.
I think I must have had roller skates for boots that day. The scrubs was just going just one way.
Yeah.
So like, unconditioned. Even we knew at school earlier on. I didn't know before I went to the bush that I was have to go for the trials. But even then, in terms of preparation, conditioning, so it was still very much an amateur setup. So there wasn't any of that done. So I had to do a lot of stuff myself. So then obviously I flunked, like you're saying, that for you, that was the test that you did fail for in the SA Academy. That for me, that was the one. So having to choose now what to do, because the rugby was you're still playing. I mean, you know what else can happen. But I had to choose a career, and I decided I always want to help people, and in the medical field. So I decided to look around. Audiology was one thing I saw, and there is a history that I know family-wise of hearing loss, and something that also was dear to me. I had a friend that was also deaf when I was younger, so I leaned towards that. That was I studied, went to varsity, played, got a bursary at UCT to do for rugby then under 19s. For that first year, made second year with the Western Province Colts team. Then I was deciding I need to choose between my career or to play rugby, because at that time it was showing signs of it could be getting professional, but I needed something to fall back on. I decided I'm not going to play any more rugby for 2000 up to 2003. Came to work 2003, the bug came back again. Went to African Bombers 2003, 2004. Made the EP amateur team 2005 and 2004, 2005. Left to Impala in Rustenburg to work there. Made the amateur Leopards team there 2007 and 8. And then I got an injury, then I stopped playing again. And you know, every time you stop, so much development's happening. When you come back again, there's like a lot of catch up. Catch up to do. So coming back after that injury, I actually left us and came back to play again.
Yeah.
Joined Bombers for like a year or two. That was 2012 or 13. Moved to Crusaders because I moved from the area that came to live closer by here. Went to Crusaders. 2016 up to about 20. I can't remember until when. In between, I also played for NMU. I think it was 2017. I can't sure. For 1 year. And then I also decided, let me just call it quits. But after watching Harlequins play against Police at Police at Run Park, and they thrashed Police that day, I was like, I gotta be in this mix. and I'm here now. Yeah.
So as I'm listening to your story, you've retired maybe 3 or 4 times already.
And clubs.
And you've moved clubs, you've moved African Bombers. Which would you say is the club that's dearest to your heart? Which one of the ones that you played for?
It's a tough one. But where my heart is right now is Harlequins. And you know what? Sometimes they say easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
My getting into Harlequins and playing it's also COVID time, so things were a bit difficult and getting consistency. But I think that it made a bit of my hunger and getting to go through those hardships with the players, and you get to create some bonds. For me, maybe it's because it's at the moment, but for me, Harlequins is I wear that block jersey on my sleeve.
You basically find yourself currently in a very difficult position in club rugby. You know, especially at Harlequins. You're supposed to play for the legends at Harlequins.
Yeah.
But you've basically gotten an emergency call up. You know, there's injuries to the props. There's other factors with the props, and you just raise your hand and say, "Guys, I'm available. And you're not a young man anymore. You're not very young. And I think Mandla is almost 50 years old.
44.
He's going to 50.
But yeah.
He's strong on his way to 50. But the thing that I like about this guy, you know, I've met so many people, you know, on the rugby scene. But you've always had that kind of smile, man. Even when you were playing, when I was playing against you, this guy's not serious, man. How do you take a man like this serious? How do you take someone? This guy's always smiling. You tackle this man, he stands up, he's smiling. How do you take this guy serious? When he runs with the ball, he smiles. So I'm just asking to myself, how do you take a man like this serious? And I think that is what basically kept you so long in the rugby, man, because that's basically, if I can say it like that, it's basically a happy place for you.
Yeah. It's the times when I did stop playing, the withdrawal symptoms are so much that you feel that you need to get back. This other person you're becoming, you know, is not really you. So yeah, it is a happy place, and I think I need to consider looking at other avenues as the time is really going past. Into administration or coaching, and that's would be the next in line. But at the moment, I'm still keen to still put in my boots.
Yeah, okay. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Look, Mandla, we've basically touched base on a very, very long rugby career, you know, and it seems like it's not gonna end very soon.
It's not late, mate.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, your rugby career basically started when you were in standard 6. Yeah, standard 6. Vir die mense wat nou nie verstaan wat 'n graad nie. Standard 6 mense, it's grade 8. It's grade 8 vir it's standard 6 is graad 8, né? Is grade 8, guys. So for you guys that don't understand what the standard is of a standard, it is graad 8, né? So Mandla het in graad 8 eers begin rugby speel. So ons oukies is mos nou lank ons is gewoon, jy kry die bal af van 5-6 jaar af en hardloop dan met 'n rugbybal. You know, understand? So it's a bit difficult a bit different for him. So we give them an extra 10 years to play. Yeah, he can play up to 50 years old.
There's a player that's actually about 68 or something. I can't remember. He's also in the front.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not saying that far. But I mean, some people are.
You're
he's taking it easy.
Yeah, you're still enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I think you are well conditioned for the game in itself, you know. But let's move on, man.
Mm-hmm.
What the thing that I actually, okay, I just wanted to speak to the guys. I always want to speak to the guys on the comments, you know. And I'm just looking at some of the some of your old colleagues, guys that you played with. Yehu Swanepoel says, Mandla, we had a good time at Sailors, remember? Yeah, so that's Yehu Swanepoel. And then Burton is also, please tell coach who convinced you to join Alakons.
Myself, no one.
Bizarre worry the man say itself come there. He said he came here by himself. Okay. Right, Mandla, I just want to ask you a couple of questions, man. You know, I always like to speak about the up and coming rugby players, man. What advice can you give our up and coming rugby players?
This is purely from, I'm not saying it's the holy grail, but you gotta really enjoy playing first and foremost. It's all about when you play, you enjoy what you're doing, and the rest will really take care of itself, and not to just concentrate on. We touched a bit on that as well, not just on rugby. Rugby is not the end and all be all. You may get injuries, and you need to have something back to fall back on. But at the end of the day, you know, never take any game for granted. It could be your last game. Enjoy it as much as you can until the wheels fall off.
Wow. But your wheels is still stuck on you, right? Your wheels are still stuck. Look, man, you know, it's always wonderful, man. It's always a pleasure for me, you know, to speak to these rugby guys, and there's so much work to do, you know. And you know, the eyes and ears are always on the ground looking out for these kind of things, you know. And I'm finding myself in a very privileged position that I can speak to you guys, you know. And with that, man, I just want to ask you a couple other questions, you know. During your rugby career, who was your toughest opponent?
Yeah, I said I had roller skates that day. Eh? It was John Smith.
Yeah. So guys, if you winning John Smith, and he says John Smith has been his toughest opponent because he had roller skates.
No, but it was unfair. It was not conditioned.
He wasn't.
It was just from the bush then, yeah.
Okay. So Mandla, do you think if you took rugby a little bit more seriously, you think you could have gone to the bigger stage?
Without a doubt. I post 40, I'm still playing.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yes, great stuff, man, great stuff. Oh, no,
especially there, you felt it, you tasted it, you know it.
Yes, and the nice thing that I've heard, I never knew that you played with Faba, you played with Seam, you played with Conrad Jankies, you played with Wiley Human, you played with a bunch of great guys.
Homegrown greats.
Homegrown greats. And you know what? It's something I wanted to touch on, man. Something I wanted to touch on. And maybe this is a very sensitive topic. You know, I've spoken about this during the week. I've noticed something. The townships, the northern areas, we don't produce rugby players anymore.
I'm not sure if it's not produced anymore, but maybe the spotlight may not be, and the nurturing may not be as it can be. And that's not blaming anyone and any structures, but it can be a system thing that the spotlight and the resources are more else in other areas.
Do you think as a rugby player that's coming from the townships, you started way back, you're coming from the township, do you think there's enough development in the township, or do you think there's any development in the townships?
It's been a long time I've been involved or aware what's really going on grassroots level, but from my understanding back then, there's been a lot of good and conceited effort to develop the sport, and very good coaches who throw in everything. They sacrifice everything into it, and development coaches as well. I mean, this is, and you know, not common in other areas as well. There's a lot of coaches I've heard of that also do
Yeah.
that, but that's that love to develop. So however, they do sort of not also as much supported as they could be. Resources, I think the management.
We really don't want to miss. I cannot speak a lot about this man right now, but we'll throw some images saying about this man. Someone that played with him to come and help us, man. To come and help us to speak. You know, if you played with Lathan, guys, and you could make us produce, we'll read the comments, guys. Each and every comment that there is.